Whippersnippers.
How's it going, the Drink West stuff?
Yeah, it's going good.
Good?
It's it's an interesting experience. It's probably my first sort of step into business outside of footy, and it's sort of just learning. I'm not too hands-on with it, sort of just the face and promote it, but it's cool.
Do you enjoy the fact that it gives you a focus away from football? Football takes up so much attention.
Yeah, I do. Football is my passion, and I want to put all my energy into that. But it is good to have a sort of avenue outside of that to sort of focus on and learn about, and particularly for after footy to go into that space.
People always talk about the relationship between sport and business and how they can learn from each other. Have you learnt being able to take anything over to the business side of things?
I think it's just about like building relationships, which is so important in footy, but it's also important in the business side, connection, how to talk to people, and I think that's definitely a correlation between the two.
Have you thought 10 years into the future what's going to happen when you hang them up at 35, 36,
Coach.
38?
Coach for sure.
Nah, I try not to think about it too much.
See these two seats here? One of us won't be here.
Smart money's on this one.
Good answer for me.
Nah, I don't know.
You haven't thought about it?
I try not to think about it too much. Obviously, you want to set yourself up, but I want to do that through playing really good footy and really putting all my focus into that, and then what happens after the byproduct.
And not getting divorced a few times probably helps too.
That'd be nice.
What about the body? Tell us that you're out with the hammy at the moment.
Yeah.
You had a bad hammy last year. Managing the body, is that in the back of your mind?
A little bit. I think
What
I can. It's a little hammy too. It's definitely
You're
not the same
26
as
now?
26. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's more so managing the workload around extras and kicking and all that, which is something that I've never really had to think about growing up. It was just something that I really enjoyed doing. It was fun. I never got injured doing it, but especially last year, started to pick up a few niggles here and there. So probably more so the mental reps now, and sort of just planning my week around it.
Well, last year you did your hemi properly. You kept you out for the best part of a month, 6 weeks, I
6
believe.
weeks.
So is it similar to that?
Nah, it's not. It's probably what happened just before I did the actual tear last year, so it's just really minor. It's the other leg as well, so.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just a conversation around that with the physios and how to manage it properly. I was probably lucky that I actually did it last year, so I knew something was sort of up and could go off before doing it worse. But having said that, if it was a grand final last week, I could have played. It's just sort of, just trying to get it right for a long year ahead.
Now you're out. James Fisher-Harris is out. Sorensen's out. Liam Martin goes down within the first quarter of the game. What is it about Penrith at the moment that they just keep churning out this quality?
I think it comes back to the way we train and just our culture. It's quite a cliched thing, but that next man up mentality, we definitely have that, and I think it's just trust within the system and trust within each other. Getting to train alongside each other every day through a pre-season, you begin to trust the person next to you, no matter who it is. And you see Brad Schneider coming in and he just does his job, he knows his role. The people around him step up and help him and make him feel welcome and have his back. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's more so the team and the system and the culture rather than the people in it.
What about Liam? So Liam Martin came off with that AC and they cut his jersey off. He looked at that much pain. Yeah. Now, we've all done ACs here, where you can play with a needle, but you can't lift. There's no training, no weight training. How's he going to go?
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Well, we know that something's missing.
Are you saying he's got some carry-on in him?
I think that he's the softest, tough guy. Everyone sees him and he thinks he's the toughest guy, but I reckon he's probably the softest in our team, just in terms of stuff like that. But I think he'll be fine. We have a bye. We've played Manly this week, then we have a bye, so he'll have time to rest.
So you'll come back after the bye?
Yeah.
So you get coached by your dad. Like all coaches have different strengths. What's the strength of your dad as a coach?
I think he's not as hands-on with the technical side of things. I think he sort of lets our attacking and defensive coaches do their thing with the technical and game plan and stuff like that. But he's massive on culture, that sort of man management, and I think a lot of that sort of next man up mentality comes from him. Just preparing people to play first grade and just knowing what he wants from the team and that team mentality, putting it first. So I think that's his biggest strength.
Last week we had a chat about halves, how we don't see a lot of quality halves coming through, and we spoke about weight divisions, and there was a quote from your dad Ivan talking about your first experience playing rugby league in Auckland. And you played in the open age, and obviously you got smoked and smashed, but you played in the unders and overs the next week. Tell us about your experience with weight divisions.
Yeah, for me it was more so the fact that I think I could develop properly in the weight division. It wasn't so much that you were versing kids my weight. Like I'd still verse kids that were 20, 30 kilos heavier than me, but it was was just a bit more balanced for me. I was quite small growing up. I think the bigger weight, the open weight division, like sometimes there's not that much skill in it. Like you can just give it to the biggest kid, and he'll just run through.
And you're doing a disservice to the big kid because when everyone catches up, he can't catch and pass. He can't catch and draw and pass.
To be aware, that system's available in Australia. So there's that system now in New South Wales and Queensland as well, or anywhere in Australia. So you can actually apply to go to a year below if you feel like you're disadvantaged by size. So
another thing I spoke about was the overcoaching of halves in juniors. Now, you've got a younger brother, Jet, who's a halfback.
Yeah.
How old's Jet?
He's 18.
Are you coaching him yourself?
I try not to get too involved.
And this isn't a knock on junior coaches, it's just the way the game has gone.
No, I do agree though. Like even watching my little brother just come through the ages, from the age of, it would have been under 12s, they were doing set plays and setting up a point on the field to do this massive set play, and I just don't agree with that. I think it's too focused on you want to win when you're at that age, but coaches are too focused on, we've got to do this because NRL teams are doing that to win games, where I think you should be focusing on nailing 2v1s and looking up short sides, numbers, all that sort of stuff. And I can talk to him about that, but I don't want to get too involved in his development either. I want him to sort of work it out himself. But I think they're the main things, and that's things that Dad sort of taught me when I was growing up. It was all the little things about diving on loose balls or looking for numbers, not so much set plays and all that kind of stuff, which I think in junior footy you don't actually need it.
So at your level, how much of it is structured and how much of it is just playing what you see in front of you?
I think it's the ability to play unstructured within the structure. So you get to points on the field and you want to put plays on, but you're constantly looking up, counting numbers, and that's the way it should be, I think. Where like I'll go and watch my little brother play when he was 12 years old. It'd be 3v1 down the short side, but they're thinking, we've got to get this massive play on.
I've got to do a block for a block.
Yeah, which is just... It's just not how it is. Where you get to the NRL level, you do need to have some sort of structure, I reckon, just to break down defences. They're so good now, but you've got to be able to play within that structure, but also outside of it.
we need structure to get a quick play the ball.
Yeah.
Like you nearly, that's what we used to talk about in the old days. Like you use a play to get the quick play the ball, and then you jump out from dummy half and away you go. And that was the whole mentality in the old days. Like there was less support around the ball and different things were happening in the game, but that was the mentality. You'd have a block play for something to get a one-on-one tackle, quick play the ball, to then jump over and support and use skill, I suppose.
Well, you think about like a lot of the biggest games you play in, a lot of the tries that are scored they're not structured, nice set plays. They're sort of coming from momentum and quick play the balls, and then you just find a way to get over the line.
We've all watched your career and marvelled at it, but everyone talks about Origin, your next frontier. What do you think about that with your ability? You've done it in grand finals, big game, but owning an Origin series. Is this something that drives you?
Yeah, it does,
and
for
Billy's
sure.
here too, by the way.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but
more
no, I do agree. Like that's definitely a massive goal for me, is being able to own an Origin series and be a part of a team that can win a few. And that's something that definitely drives me. Growing up, you watch Origin, watch people like you, Freddy, Billy, and all had success on that stage. So it's definitely something that drives me, and something I want to be a part of, and I'll be working hard to do so.
Can you go 4 in a row?
Yeah, I reckon. I don't see why not. I think there's obviously a lot of players have left our team over this sort of 4-year period, but it gives young guys an opportunity. To see Taylor May come in and play centre this year with Critter going, and I just think it's exciting. I think it gives you sort of new energy to the group too, and it makes you you want them to experience the same feeling we've had the last 3 years, and I think we've got the squad to do it.
I was thinking this morning about the players that you have lost over the last few years. You've got Kikau, Coruscant, Burton, Spencer Leniu, and Stephen Crichton. Like they're quality players. Like does that hint the confidence levels at the club, or how do you get over that period of, hey, we've lost all these players, what are we going to do?
I think it's just become the norm, really. Like it's sort of happened pretty much since we made that grand final in 2020. Each year we've sort of lost a handful of players and quality players. Like you're obviously going to miss them. I think it's the fact that you can't replace them like for like, but you can replace them with other players with different skill sets and strengths. And to be honest, like when we get into training, it's that mentality that we want to be back there. Like we don't expect anything else other than being there at the end of the year and fighting to try and win another grand final. And I think if you get too caught in sort of looking at what's gone rather than what you have, then it can fall into that trap. But yeah, I don't think we've sort of had that problem.
Welcome back to Turn It Up. Now we're going to talk about something that I absolutely hate, mobile phones and social media. Are you on social media?
Yeah, I am.
Do you get hammered by people? Trolls, is that what they're called?
Yeah, but it's something that I've probably become used to. I think it was a bit of a shock at the start, but it's just the world we live in at the moment.
How much time a week, or there's screen time, do you look at your screen time? How much time a week do you spend on your phone?
I try and limit it to, set like a limit of like 3 hours a day. And like it's crazy just how much it just adds up over time. Sometimes I look at it just in disgust how much I've actually been on it. But yeah, I think it's probably being self-aware in some aspects, like try not to read into it too much and getting too obsessed with it and finding other things to do other than just being on social media on your phone.
Well, I take you as a pretty disciplined person that would be able to handle that and handle the time that you spend on that. What about some of your teammates? Like, do you worry about how much time and how it's affecting their performance?
Sometimes, everyone's different, I guess. Some people take it on board, but we do talk about it a lot, sort of off the field. Like we'll have mental skills sort of workshops and talk about the effect it's having on our mental health and just being on it too much. And I think the biggest thing is like after you play a bad game or even after a good game, if you're constantly searching for other people's sort of recognition or stuff like that, and it's people that you don't even know, then it just becomes this ugly sort of circumstance where if you play a good game, you might be happy that people are saying, oh, he's killing it, he's playing really well. But
That's insane.
as soon as you play a bad game, you take the same effect. You see the negative comments and then it affects you. So it's weird how it's come to this. But yeah, we talk a lot about sort of just prioritising whose opinions you listen to and not being on it.
Have you ever had a few sherbets or a few of them and at night you've done something on your phone, the next morning you wake up and it's like, what have I done there? It's like, there's been numerous incidents in the off-season where it's just like, you're going to rip in, put your phones away, because we've seen players get in trouble. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, it's crazy.
Can you believe it?
I just can't.
Because
it's just hopeless. It is really hopeless. And I know they're just passing a law, or they're trying to pass a law in Florida at the moment where kids under the age of 14 can't have social media. Like, I can't understand why government hasn't stepped in. Like, it is beyond doubt, beyond science, beyond everything that it is not good for you. There's huge parts of it which aren't good for you and send people down a spiral of a worse existence. I can't believe government do not do something about it. It's beyond me.
Well, we've all been in dressing sheds after a win, or it can be the greatest atmosphere of your life.
mate, the 10 minutes after a win,
Sitting down with a beer, talking about the game, and that's where you actually really gravitate as a group and bond as a group. How do you feel when you see pictures of players in the dressing rooms on their phones straight after a game, not communicating?
Well, that's something, when I retired, that's something I miss. That 10 or 15 minutes after a huge win, you sing the song, everyone's up, and then you're having a beer and you're chatting about it, you're having a laugh about that. Does that go on anymore?
Probably not as much. I think there's probably pockets that like to do it, but yeah, it's definitely sort of gone away from that, I reckon.
So players come off, and we see them on the cameras, and they're straight on their phone. Would they be straight on social media seeing what these gronks are saying about them?
Potentially, yeah.
And
Like
this must
right
have
there.
so much effect on their mental health, but not only their mental health, their performances the weeks leading up, especially if someone's a bit fragile with their confidence. I still can't get over
Well, that's what I mean. It's like it's almost getting to the stage sometimes where if you're not aware of it, you're literally listening to a guy that you have no idea who he is. He doesn't know you, but he might be saying, just talking absolute rubbish. And you're taking that on board rather than listening to your teammates or your coaches. And
You can't unhear it, you can't unsee it.
yeah, exactly.
Can't
And
unread it.
It's just how social media is built too. It's that addictive sort of, you just keep trying to pick it up, but you got to just wean that out. And I think that's one thing about being a part of a group is actually, being able to communicate with the people around you and sharing that connection, especially if you're winning, but even more so if you're losing. Like, you want to get around each other, have each other's backs and take those sort of important opinions on board.
What about the commercial side of it then? Obviously, that's got to be the appealing part to leading athletes. I'm assuming there's only a very, very small percent of people who are making any money or decent money out of, social media. What's it like from a point of view of making money and commercialising yourself and your interests?
Well, that's the thing now, you know, that's where all the money kind of is. Like, if you're a sponsored athlete, you have to be posting on Instagram. And I think the pro of it is you can actually connect to people all around the world. Like, I've spoken to other people from different sports just through Instagram, and you can connect with them. And
Freddie, I'm just saying, mate.
You couldn't help yourself. Couldn't help
I
yourself.
took a while. I've done well.
No, but
My
it's not
baby
true. Right?
Without sounding like Dr. Phil,
Yeah.
the attention yourself and Mary get, are you worried about your privacy moving forward? Both years in your sports?
Yeah, a little bit. But, you know, we've sort of both said that it's something that we can't control, so I don't want to get too worried about it. I think at the start it was definitely like a shock, particularly for her. Like, she's a bit younger and she sort of just came in the spotlight and it all happened so quickly. So yeah, it was hard. Like, you can sort of cop being in the spotlight for your sport and all that, but your private life's, I guess, a different story. So,
Put extra pressure on you? Do you feel like it's adding some pressure?
no, I don't reckon.
Okay.
Not for me.
What
But
about
it's probably,
her? Like hers, it's happened so quick.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, I actually felt sorry for her at the start, especially because it was her personal and private life, and she's an introverted woman. But yeah, she's very mature and she dealt with it really well. Over there, it's quite good for her in England. Like, they're still sort of out of the spotlight a bit. But yeah, it's something that we just have to deal with.
Because you see the Reece Walsh, the one, he's now sponsored off
Ralph Lauren.
Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
And that's international. Tell me about Ralph Lauren. Is that like deodorant or something?
It's a bit of everything. It's clothing. But
They reckon his social media, Reece Walsh, is just exploding.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's just all these opportunities come through social media and having a following. So it's just the pros and cons of.
Once you get to a certain age, though, I can understand. Once you get to a certain age, you're at an age where you're supposed to be mature enough. You can make your own decisions. But you know, with kids, you know, the thing, you know, kids having social media is a huge problem. But you know, I think it also adds to our sport. You've got someone like Reece Walsh, who, you know, obviously he's fantastic, you know, and incredible to watch and a good-looking lad, and you know, he loves that part of life as well. I think it's pretty awesome for the sport.
Well, Nathan, thanks for coming in.
No worries.
For the award-winning Turn It Up or Turn It Down with your singing.
This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights. Action. 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus podcast, get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour, grab a seat on the couch for that. And of course, my favourite, Freddy and the Owner.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm, subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.